So as you may have heard last week, I spoke with Tiana about just her transition from her apartment into her new house that was provided by Christian Housing, and her journey through Love Inc., the Loving Your Neighbor program, and Christian Housing and everything like that. So we actually learned that she is currently attending the church that we had the privilege of interviewing today. Pastor Otis Spellman is the pastor at Union Baptist Church, and we talked to him a little bit, or I talked to him a little bit about what Union Baptist offers to the community, to their parishioners, and just a little bit about Union Baptist. So I thought that was just a really cool thing to connect this neighbor that we've been serving to a church that we're interviewing as well. So as you're listening to this, just be thinking about, while we didn't mention Tiana in this, but she is someone who is directly affected by this church in our community.
Absolutely.
So we hope that this interview encourages you as always.
Hello, Pastor Spellman. How are you?
Hey, man, I'm fine. How you doing?
I'm doing very well, very well. Thanks for talking to me, to the public. Just introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, what you're about, that kind of thing.
Well, I am retired from medical work at the hospital, the Martha Jefferson Hospital.
Mm-hmm.
This is my third pastorate at Union Baptist Church. I have been pastoring for about 40 years. I am a native of Norfolk, Virginia. I schooled at Washington Bible College in Atlanta, Maryland, and I'm a former chaplain at Advancing Native Missions, which is a mission organization, and at the University of Virginia Hospital. And I've been at Union for about 2 years, 1 year as an interim pastor and another year as the senior pastor.
So tell me a little bit about Union Baptist Church.
Well, it's a small historic congregation in Waynesboro. We're approximately 80 members or so. We were established 128 years ago, and it has been a staple in the community for church services and all, and had a rich history of pastors, and I'm just one more in the line.
What sort of resources does Union Baptist Church provide to your parishioners?
Well, during this time, we have services preaching on YouTube each week for them. We have reached out with prayer and phone assistance and counseling while we're in this lockdown period. We have our deacons do wellness checks on the congregation regularly. They all have a portion of the congregation to check on, so they do that at least every other week. We have at the church, a children's church, twice a month. That's for all of our youth from about 6 years old up to about 17. We do financial support for our members when it's necessary under church guidelines. We're part of the Ministers, Deacons, and Laymen's Union of Virginia for our people for teaching.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we have Sunday school every Sunday. We also, for our church, have scholarships for our young people as they transition from high school to college. We do that each year, and we have an amount for no matter how many we have. We always try to accommodate each one of those. Those are some of the things we do. Other things internally, we of course recognize our congregation for birthdays and anniversaries, things like that.
What sort of resources, services, it could be really anything. What kind of things does Union Baptist provide for the community around it? I know you said it's been a long established church here in Waynesboro, but what over the years has Union Baptist provided to the community?
Well, we have, I've been there a couple of years, and of course, some things rise and fall. So,
sure.
But right now, as far as I know, the things that we're doing, we are providing aid to the Disciples Kitchen, financial aid for this and their food program. We also provide aid to the YMCA for the things that they're doing. We do what we call a box of blessings for people in the community who need food. They're recommended by others, and we help them out and provide for them. Each year we contribute quite a sum to Salvation Army from our congregation, and that's been going on for years. Do financial support for certain recommended people of the community. If they have tragic things happen like a fire or some personal tragedies, our church will come together and help them.
Sure.
Based on recommendations from our people.
What sort of stories have you seen or heard coming out of Union Baptist Church that were just, it could be inspirational, it could be interesting? What sort of stories have you seen come out of Union?
Well, during the last couple of years, for some reason or other, we've had an inordinate amount of sickness. Our members, quite a bit of it has been extremely serious, but we have praise report that each one, God has brought them out. Everything from cancer to all kinds of surgeries, and we have not lost a one. We have gone in prayer and fasting for our people, and each one of them have come out victorious. I must also report that we thank God for the fact that we've not had any cases of COVID-19 in our church that I know of, and we are monitoring that pretty closely.
Sure.
And again, we want to thank the Lord for that. And getting housing, that we're in substandard housing, and they've been able to get new housing. We're grateful. We have been doing foreign missionary work. We've had foreign missionaries come to our church to speak and to inspire us with the stories of where they come from. And we have been able to give to our missionaries quite a large sum of money and to provide motorcycles and bicycles and help with wells and churches in foreign countries, particularly Kenya. We've been doing things, and we've been thanking God for the reports.
For someone who's listening who may be looking for a church, how can they learn more about Union Baptist?
Well, we're on the uptick. Our website is now being upgraded to be on point with where we are. We're in a newspaper directory, of course, it comes out weekly. We also put in the paper any services we're going to have at our church. Not only that, but they can also call the pastor or any of our members, and we are just working hard now to be available to the community in a better way than we have been before.
To me, what I pulled out of Pastor Spellman's interview, which I loved to hear, was how Union values people.
Yes.
And how they invest relationally in the membership, not just in their church, but also in their immediate community.
Yes. Yeah.
And that just speaks volumes of the culture that is within the church. I mean, Pastor Spellman said that he's been there for 2 years.
Right.
Once as interim and 1 year as senior pastor. And so in his position of leadership, he has to lean tremendously on on the congregation.
Sure.
And so what he sees and what he's learning is truly a byproduct of just the culture that is inside that church community.
Yes.
He's just now getting to the point where, he's putting his imprint.
Yes.
And so
it can't be easy just walking into a congregation.
It's challenging, but when you walk into a church that is as grounded as Union is,
I mean, they've been here for 150 years, something like that.
A long time.
Incredible.
Yeah, and it's I don't know the full history of Union. I do know it's just where it sits alone is just a place of prominence in our community. When you mention, Union Baptist, oh, that's the church that's on the corner. It's like,
yep,
everybody knows where it is.
Right.
And so it's that just tells you that it's an important place in the community of Waynesboro.
Yes, it stood the test of time.
That and because it's the people who are affiliated with that congregation.
Yeah, and we have a volunteer.
We do.
Who attends there.
Veronica. And it just, again, how God just sort of weaves people together, stories together.
Yes. And
connects, which is, that's what this is all about.
That's
connecting
right.
people together, connecting
community
churches.
Connections.
That's exactly
That's
right.
Right.
You mentioned earlier the connection with Tiana.
Yeah.
And just how that has it just encourages me to no end.
Yes.
To see how God just puts it all together.
Wouldn't it be cool if somebody who is like a super nerd made a little map of Augusta County and connected stories of people? So like, let's say you have someone like Tiana and Union, Veronica, Love Inc., Christian Housing, and you just did a little point, and just to see all the connections in the entire area.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, it would.
That would make my my heart pretty happy to
It-
see something
it
like
truly
that.
would. I mean, just that gives me the image of a spider web.
Yeah, exactly like that.
Yeah.
And see how, it's not just one size fits all. It's multiple different ministries, churches, all working together to impact and transform people's lives.
Yeah. And I had an experience. This is a rabbit trail, so
Sure.
I apologize, community.
Yep.
Where an LYN, we'll say Love Inc. alumni, was able to connect and meet a current student, and to share, pass along items of need, a personal connection. So that was really cool too.
That's awesome.
A little side note.
Yeah, very cool. And with that, just wanted to thank you all for listening and or watching to another edition of Community Connections. If you'd like to have us answer a question here on the podcast, please, if you're watching on Facebook, leave a comment asking your question. We'd love to both answer it on Facebook and also answer it in our next episode. And if you'd like to learn a little bit more about Love Inc. than you already learned about today, go ahead and visit our website at www.loveincswa.org. But anyways, thank you so much for listening. And don't forget that mobilized churches transform lives.